price increases,
I think you're just out of touch with what American families are facing.
No.
And as my colleague noted, I'm reclaiming my time. Tariffs are a tax on American families. This is my time, Mr. Secretary. This is my time. I will speak in the
2.5%.
Higher grocery prices are taxes on American families. Higher gas and electricity prices are taxes on American
Democrats should know.
families.
No wonder so many people are leaving Illinois.
Welcome back to Freedom Forge, the channel where we stand for faith, freedom, accountability, and the constitutional principles that made America the greatest nation on earth. If you believe government officials should answer tough questions and that every American deserves equal justice under the law, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss our coverage of the biggest political battles taking place in Washington. Today's congressional hearing centered on Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent's testimony before lawmakers as members questioned him on issues ranging from Iran policy and sanctions to inflation, tariffs, the cost of living, and the ongoing controversy surrounding the IRS leak of President Donald Trump's tax records and the administration's handling of tax enforcement. The hearing quickly transformed into a fiery political showdown filled with interruptions, accusations, and competing narratives over government accountability and economic policy.
Congressman.
Mr. Schneider.
Thank you, and Mr. Secretary, thank you for your patience staying here. I actually want to give you a chance to correct the record on something you said. You earlier commented somewhat offhandedly that the conflict with Iran had ended. Do you truly believe that we are no longer in conflict with Iran and that they are no longer a threat to Israel or allies in the Gulf, that their nuclear program has been destroyed, that they no longer have a ballistic missile program and drone program threatening its neighbors in the region, and that they will no longer sponsor terrorism in the region and around the world?
So are you saying you're in agreement with the president's decision to be
You said the conflict was over. I'm asking, do you believe the conflict's over and everything's
the
copacetic?
conflict is on pause.
So everything's good with Iran now?
No, don't be absurd.
I'm asking you to
don't be
clarify.
absurd. That as the president said yesterday, unless an American life is lost, he does not believe that he will have to restart the kinetic acid.
Okay, so I'm reclaiming my time, and I'm just trying to help you clear the record. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Secretary. Can you promise, because this is your jurisdiction, that you and the Trump administration are not considering lifting sanctions on Iran as a concession towards opening the Straits of Hormuz?
We've made it clear that the Straits of Hormuz, the blockade, is the only thing that will be lifted to reopen the Straits.
So no sanctions relief whatsoever?
I'm not part of the negotiating team, but I am told by the negotiating team, and I strongly believe that the blockade will be lifted.
Okay, and I'm going to just reclaim because there's a lot of things I want to cover. My hope is you'll keep Congress informed of any such considerations if they do come up. Also, in your opening remarks, Mr. Secretary, you said Americans have more money in their pockets. That's not what I'm hearing from my constituents. Are you saying the overall cost of living is lower today than it was 16 months ago when you came into office? Because what I'm hearing from my constituents is that the cost of groceries are up. For example, beef, coffee, tomatoes are at record or near record highs. The cost of housing is up, and for too many, the American dream of buying a home is out of reach. I'll let you answer. Healthcare premiums continue to rise, and millions of Americans have either already lost or expect to lose their health insurance altogether because of H.R. 1, the bill you so joyously celebrate. Energy costs, gas for our cars, electricity for our homes are all rising through the roof, and family care, child care, and elder care is prohibitively costly. Are you saying that cost of living is lower today than it was a year ago?
No, I am saying that we are much closer to the Fed's target rate of 2% on core inflation than we were when President Trump came into office. We are at 2.8%, and you can list off the most expensive groceries or that have had the biggest price increases.
I think you're just out of touch with what American families are facing.
No.
As my colleague noted, I'm reclaiming my time. Tariffs are a tax on American families. This is my time, Mr. Secretary. This is my time. I will speak in the
2.5%.
Higher grocery prices are taxes on American families. Higher gas and electricity prices are taxes on
Democrats should know.
families.
No wonder so many people are leaving Illinois. Why don't you come see me in South Carolina?
They're not leaving. They're coming to Illinois. Just a simple question, Mr. Secretary.
You're saying Illinois doesn't have net outbound migration?
All right, let me take it to a different topic, and I know you don't want to address it, but my constituents are outraged and want me to talk to you about the absurd illegal self-dealing settlement between President Trump and his family with the Justice Department and the IRS over which you have jurisdiction. The The administration apparently believes that there should be two systems of justice, two sets of laws, one for the president, his family, and his rich friends like you, and one for the rest of us. Nothing demonstrates this more than the so-called settlement with its slush fund for insurrectionists and tax immunity for the president and his family. Mr. Secretary, simple question. Do you believe that there should be only one legal system in this country and that no one, even the president, should be above the law?
I believe that no one is above the law, but you all have put the president beneath the law, and you have weaponized the system against him, whether it is the leak of his taxpayer records.
His taxes should never be leaked. No taxpayer's information should be leaked. I agree with you on that. But note, let me ask you a separate question.
Would you like to apologize to the president right now on behalf of the...
I have nothing to apologize to this president for. His taxes should not have been leaked, but it was leaked by a contractor. And you keep trying to dissemble here and avoid the questions. Do you believe that all Americans should pay the taxes they owe and not a penny more?
100%.
Yes or no? All right. So do you think it applies to the President of the United States, irrespective of whether the President is a Democrat or Republican?
Yes.
Okay. So we agree on this, and we should have a tax system that is fair, and it should be applied fairly to all people. But I can tell you that my constituents are outraged by the agreement the President made with himself and his own Justice Department that excluded him from ever having an audit over his taxes. No one should be targeted. No one should be targeted by the administration. Whoever's in the White House.
Read the addendum.
No one should be targeted by the administration. Whoever's in the White House, their taxes should be paid, and they should be confident that that information will be kept confidential with the IRS and not used to target them, their families, or their business.
Couldn't agree more. Couldn't agree more.
Now let's get into what really happened. One of the first major exchanges involved Iran and whether the recent military conflict should be considered over. The congressman aggressively challenged Secretary Bessent over previous remarks suggesting the conflict had ended, asking whether Iran still posed a threat through its nuclear ambitions, ballistic missile program, drone capabilities, and sponsorship of terrorism. The questioning implied that declaring the conflict over would ignore the ongoing strategic danger posed by the Iranian regime. Secretary Bessent pushed back, arguing that his comments reflected the president's stated position that further military action would only occur if American lives were threatened. He rejected the characterization that everything was now good with Iran and insisted that was not what he meant. From a conservative perspective, this issue deserves serious attention. Iran has spent decades funding terrorist organizations, destabilizing the Middle East, threatening Israel, and targeting American interests. No responsible administration should underestimate that threat, and many Americans will continue to support a strong deterrence policy that prevents Iran from obtaining nuclear weapons or expanding its regional influence. The hearing then shifted towards sanctions and whether the Trump administration would consider lifting economic pressure on Iran. Secretary Bessent indicated that he was not personally involved in negotiations, but suggested that reopening the Strait of Hormuz would likely require ending any blockade rather than broad sanctions relief. That exchange reflects how fragile global energy markets remain and why Middle East policy continues to impact American consumers through fuel prices and inflation. The conversation then moved into one of the biggest issues facing American families, the cost of living. The congressman argued that groceries, housing, healthcare, electricity, gasoline, childcare, and elder care remain unaffordable for millions of Americans. He claimed ordinary families are struggling despite administration claims that the economy is improving. Secretary Bessent responded by pointing to declining inflation numbers and progress toward the Federal Reserve's inflation target. This exchange highlighted an important reality in modern politics. Government officials often focus on economic indicators while ordinary Americans focus on what they experience every week at the grocery store and the gas station. Both perspectives matter. Inflation may be slowing statistically, but many products remain significantly more expensive than they were only a few years ago. Many families continue feeling squeezed by rising costs despite improvements in headline inflation numbers. The hearing became even more heated when tariffs entered the discussion. The congressman argued that tariffs amount to taxes on American families by increasing prices on imported goods. Secretary Bessent countered with criticism of Democrat-led states and suggested that migration trends reflected dissatisfaction with certain economic policies. The exchange quickly became personal, illustrating how partisan Washington has become. Rather than discussing policy in detail, both sides spent considerable time attacking each other's political narratives. Then came perhaps the most explosive portion of the hearing. The discussion turned toward President Trump's tax records and allegations involving an agreement between the administration, the Department of Justice, and the IRS. The congressman accused the administration of creating two systems of justice, one for ordinary Americans and another for the president and his family. He argued that every citizen should be treated equally under tax law and questioned whether the president was receiving special treatment. Secretary Bessent firmly rejected that narrative. Instead, he shifted attention to the unprecedented leak of confidential IRS tax information involving President Trump. His response focused on taxpayer privacy rather than politics. He argued that no American's confidential tax information should ever be weaponized or leaked, regardless of political affiliation. That point deserves consideration. The confidentiality of taxpayer records is one of the most fundamental responsibilities of the IRS. If government officials or contractors can selectively leak private financial information for political purposes, every American should be concerned. Whether someone supports President Trump or opposes him politically should not determine whether their legal rights are respected. The secretary then made one of the strongest statements of the hearing. He argued that the president had been subjected to a weaponized legal system and that taxpayer information should never be used to target individuals or businesses. Supporters of the administration will likely see those remarks as confirmation that government institutions have been politicized against political opponents. Critics will argue that accountability should apply equally to every citizen, including presidents. That disagreement lies at the center of today's political divide. Interestingly, despite the heated rhetoric, both sides eventually found common ground. When asked whether every American should pay the taxes they owe, Secretary Bessent answered yes without hesitation. When asked whether that standard applies equally to presidents regardless of party, he again answered yes. The congressman agreed that tax laws should be applied fairly and consistently. In many ways, that moment demonstrated that despite intense partisan conflict, there remains broad agreement that equal application of the law should remain a cornerstone of the American system. The disagreement centers on whether that principle is currently being upheld. As conservatives, we should consistently defend equal justice under law, taxpayer privacy, and government accountability. No administration should weaponize federal agencies against political opponents. No taxpayer should have confidential information leaked. No government official should escape scrutiny. And Congress should continue exercising its constitutional oversight responsibilities while respecting the legal process. This hearing also serves as a reminder that political theater often dominates Washington, while ordinary Americans simply want answers. They want lower prices. They want secure borders. They want energy independence. They want national security. They want fairness under the law. And they want confidence that government institutions are serving the public rather than political interests. The debate over Iran, inflation, sanctions, tariffs, and taxpayer privacy will continue long after this hearing ends. But one lesson remains clear. Americans expect transparency from their leaders and accountability from every level of government. Whether those expectations are being met remains a question that voters will ultimately answer. If you enjoyed this breakdown of today's hearing, make sure you like this video, subscribe to Freedom Forge, and share your opinion in the comments below. Do you believe the administration is applying the law equally to everyone? Or do you think politics is influencing government institutions? Let us know your thoughts, and we'll see you in the next video.